And it's time. Welcome to CyberCast After Dark, everyone. That's right. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're feeling good. We're feeling mellow. I hope everybody had a great day today. It is Wednesday, August the 20th. Like I said, I hope everyone is having a great day today, and they're ready to just kick back, put your feet up, relax, talk some cybersecurity. We got a great guest today. Fletus Poston is showing up in the house. Me and him were pre-bantering right before getting going. I was like, save it, brother. This is all good. I love everything you're saying. This is going to be great conversation. So he's got a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about today. And the man is a wealth of knowledge. It's going to be a lot of fun to have him on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him on in and we'll get to the evening pour right after that. How's that sound, everyone? All right, let's see here. My main man, Mr. Fletus Poston. How's it going today, sir?
Good evening, everyone.
Glad to have you, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Now, I don't know how much you've seen of my show, but we do a little thing here at CyberCast in both IRL and After Dark where I have this penchant for a specific energy drink. I really enjoy it. You may have never have heard of it before, but it's called Monster. And it just does it for me. And then, and of course, it's After Dark. We have to get classy on it and pull out the martini glass. Everybody loves a good evening or morning pour, but since it is the evening, oh, you brought your own pour. Oh, this is what I'm talking about. Now, see, this is why we needed Fletus on. He doesn't even have to be prompted. The man comes with his own pour. So now I did this with Jacob Swinzinski. And
So before we
really
talk
cool.
about it, just a shout out. This is my Simply Cyber glass from last year's Simply CyberCon. We're going to crack it open tonight. Sadly, it's just going to be a Sprite. In this case, a twist up. But it's at least.
Absolutely. We get a pour out of you. We get a pour out of you. That's all that matters. I think this is what the people want. And we give the people what they want here at this channel, my friends. So I say, well, I'll be sporting, of course, the White Lightning, as it were, the classic, the OG, all right, the OG, the one that really got me hooked on these things. Used to drink these like every day by the case. And then I heard that was bad for you. Just a little bit. So I cut back and I share this with my audience. I get to share this with you and everybody watching today, where we get to crack the seal on these bad boys and then get to pouring because it's a lovely little ASMR for our evening. So I'm going to count to 3 and we'll give a crack for the both of us. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. That's money. All right. Got a new microphone, by the way. Hopefully this does well. Oh, I can already hear yours. Yeah. Oh, you got the slow beer pour. That's perfect.
It's the beer glass. I have to.
That's right. You got to. It even looks like White Monster. So it's
there we go.
Who's to tell, right? Nicely done, sir. Nicely done. All right, I'm going to go with the martini glass. It's going to sound like your grandfather relieving himself, but we like it. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Excuse me, I need to hit the head before we start now.
Oh, I've really got to get a bigger glass. But, oh, man. Oh, it's to the brim. Cheers, good sir. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Now that we are properly fueled and are ready to rock and roll, we got people in the chat. We're having a good time. You know, speak of the chat, let's go check in with chat and see who's in here today. What do we got? Well, I got FedEx. FedEx was like, I told people in the Discord, you know, that you were running a little behind. It might be a minute before you got here, and who knows. So FedEx, shout out to FedEx. He was like, tag me, bro. I'm in. I said, cool. We got FedEx on standby. Would have been there's no Fletus, but he would make a great guest. So I'll have to have him on. Definitely. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we've already started talking again. But anyway, who else? We got Sierra Montgomery in the house. She is always bringing the great presence. Always glad to see her. Always good to have you. Luke Canfield, also Tech Grunt 11G. What's up, dude? Steve Young is also here. Who else? Oh, my wife is there. Mrs. Lowry. There she is. Having a great day. White Hat Sheepdog, Mental Edge, Alicia Parkinson. What is up, Alicia? Good to see you there. Bram Weitzman. Excellent. Mark Fuentes. Am I missing anybody? I think that's all. I think that's everyone that's checked in at least. So if you're here, check in. Let us know you're here. You're hanging out. Just give us a good evening, a great pour, whatever you like. And yeah, if you want to join us on Discord, that link is down in the YouTube description, so you can check that out there as well. All right, now that we have done all the meet and greet, the glad handing, as it were, let's dive into some cyber stuff. Let's get into let's just in case there's a couple people out there that might not be familiar with you, Fletus. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do, and all the fun stuff that would make someone go, "Oh, this is an interesting person."
Sure. So, my career, semi-traditional, but yet different. And here's how it goes. So, I started my career back in 2005, 2006 as an IDS handler while at Appalachian State University. I had the pleasure of having a guest lecturer who was running a satellite office. So he let me cut my teeth doing intrusion detection. After that, I took an IT audit role with Wachovia before it became Wells. And then I spent the next 13 years with Duke Energy, a regulated utility here in the Carolinas, doing IT service management, web app monitoring, electronic document management. During my time on the electronic document management team, I got the itch to put cyber back in my team. So I switched from a BA to a systems administrator, where I took on the identity and access management for all of our corporate and nuclear apps, managing several hundred AD groups, several dozen process accounts. Then after that, I started mentoring with the director of cybersecurity and went back and got started my master's in information assurance. About a year later, I was able to transition into our security team, helping build out our security operations center at Duke Energy. This was right after the Target breach, so our board gave us plenty of money, time, and resources to do this. Started as an analyst engineer combine, started with email security, endpoint security, before becoming a pure cyber systems engineer. When I left Duke Energy in 2022, I was leading a team of approximately 15 engineers. And then I went over to a company called CrashPlan, where I was their senior manager of security operations and application security. During that same time, around 2019, I picked up a gig with the SANS Institute where I started TAing, taking several of their classes. So I hold about a dozen GX certifications, anything from GRC, security awareness, cyber defense, as well as some of the incident response organizations. And then, like many in the field, I was let go. I got hit with a reduction in force on May 1st and have been spending the summer doing side projects. I picked up a part-time adjunct faculty gig for the fall, teaching an AI business cybersecurity class at my alma mater, Appalachian State University. In my free time, I continue to give back with mass mentorship. I run my own cybersecurity YouTube channel where I give back with daily food for thoughts. And I'm here just to help share knowledge and help people get out of the ditch and learn and grow.
That's awesome, brother. I love hearing your story. I love hearing how you got to where you are. It's so fascinating to see the twists and turns that we all end up taking in our careers. And sometimes there's highs, and sometimes there's lows, and sometimes it's just, hey, it's a job. It's fun. I'm doing a thing. And how we end up getting there. And I appreciate it how you spend a lot of time, or at least getting your higher education, right? You went back, you got your master's, and that's an interesting thing because you said that you've now recently kind of taken a gig as an adjunct professor, and that's a really nice thing to be able to do. And if you don't have the degree, you're not going to be able to get into positions like that. So a lot of people, and we've got White Hat Sheepdog. He's asking the question: is cert stacking or going back to school worth it for someone in cyber, or is there a different path you would recommend? And really, I mean, I definitely want to get your take on this. I'm just going to really quickly say, I'm always going to tell you it's a one size fits one solution. Your situation is going to be different than everybody else's because your situation is your situation. But Fletus, because you have that degree, there are different opportunities that are open to you that wouldn't necessarily be so if you didn't have that. So what do you think about this kind of thing? Should people just be running headlong into certifications? Should they just go back to school, get that degree, or maybe some combination of both? What is your take on that?
I say it's a combo. I think you can't. For first thing I will tell you, and I think you've heard other people say on this channel, and I think you actually had it last week with Kathy, is I can't take a degree away from you. Your cert will expire. You have to maintain it, but your degree is for a lifetime. So my bachelor's and master's, those are credentials I carry till death. Certifications are great. I do not recommend cert stacking. Yes, Fletus, just said he does not recommend cert stacking, even though I hold a dozen plus certifications. I hold those because I was using them to teach. I was TAing with SANS. To TA some of the classes, I had to hold the certification. So I got them because it was required for the job. So if you're going to stack, make sure you're stacking to fulfill an obligation either for a job rec or to fill the obligation of your employer at the time or your future employer. On that, look at what companies want. We've talked about it on Jawjacking. We talked about other channels. When we do this with Daniel and I have shared the same feedback. Not every cert holds the same value and not every company looks at certifications the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. It's all about so the certs I think are great for like that immediate relevancy, like because like you say, they expire. They try to stay on top of things. You look at different organizations that are certifying bodies, and they revise. Now it's easy for us to go, that's just a money mill, right? It's just a way for them to go, hey, now you got to pay me yet again. But on the other hand, if you're giving them the credit where credit is due, you know, in this business, some things stay the same, but some things change really fast. And if you want to stay relevant, you're going to want to have something that's a little more current. Like myself, I got to go back. I got to start getting certs again. I haven't needed certs in a while, but now that I'm getting back out there, I wanted to be, get back in that training seat. I'm going to be recertifying a bunch of things because not only do I want to have the cert because I can say I've got that most recent current version of that cert, but I also want to be able to say, this is what it's like to sit that exam. The experience is what I like to bring to a lot of people. I know you're kind of the same way with that kind of thing, is to be able to tell you, this is what you can expect realistically. Now, of course, after a while, you've taken so many exams, you've set so many certs, you've done that kind of thing. There's not a whole lot of difference that goes on with those, but it is still good every now and then to put yourself back in the hot seat and remember what it's like to kind of sweat a bit and go, this isn't as easy as I remember. I've got some studying to do here because this topic has kind of got me pretty good.
Yes.
That said, when it comes to certs, do you have any favorites? Let me put it that way. I think that's better. I know there's no best cert, but do you have any favorites? You're like, you know what? That was a good experience. I like the things that it covers, and I think it brings a lot of value.
So I'm going to speak of SANS. I've had a positive experience with them. Not every cert with them is equal. The last ones that I've enjoyed were their leadership certs. So I took their CCC, which is their CIS controls. And then I took their certified incident response leader, one of their newest leadership IR certifications. That IR certification was probably the most eye-opening for me. It was led by a very renowned incident responder, been at some very big companies doing some of their breaches. So just hearing his stories of how his company handled this, how they went about press, how they went about internal comms, and there's some lingo that I've learned from him that I use in my talks and I use in my presentations, for lack of a better, when I'm educating youth, my employees, my friends, my family. So I will say some of the SANS leadership track has been probably the better ones just because it allows me to take that technical stuff and apply it to a business acumen, which you've heard me say before, and I'll say again, we have to be bilingual, speaking business and tech if we want to succeed in this field.
Yeah, I like that. I like that bilingual idea. Very, very, very cool. All right, so I just want to throw this on there. Oh, this might be an interesting piece of fodder for conversation. Many certifying bodies cheat the people, either go under taking certs with them. I assume what you mean there is like there are some certification bodies out there that are exactly kind of what I was mentioning before, where it's just a way to kind of a money grab, a cash grab, preying on people, on their hopes and dreams. I mean, I was telling my wife about this the other day. I worked for an organization, and one time somebody from the marketing team asked me to review a piece of marketing or some marketing piece they were going to drip out on social media or whatever it was. And it was all about this certification is this kind of salary. And I was looking at it and I'm going, this doesn't seem right. So I did a quick bit of research. You go to U.S. Department of Labor statistics, you go out there to Glassdoor, you go out there to what's the one about salaries? I forget the one. It might be salary.com. You just look at those things really quickly and you find out that's not true at all. And anybody that's in the business knows that's not right. And I said, where did you get these numbers? And they said, well, we got them from a competitor. They have something similar up. So we were going to kind of like compete with that. I said, this is not true. These numbers are not even close. And I showed them and they were like, wow, that's a big difference. Kind of telling people like, Security Plus will get you 95 grand a year. I'm like, that's not true. Are there people out there that may have done that? Yeah, but that is way the exception and not the rule. So, like, what's your take on this whole idea of these boot camps and preying on people? What do you think about that?
So, to be frank, boot camps have their place. I have helped many and seen many of my mentees and friends go to a boot camp, mainly to solidify what they already know. And what I mean by that, these are people who cut their own teeth. I had a friend of mine who was a car mechanic who had very good attention to detail. He's like, I would love to get into cyber. So we started talking. He went through a little boot camp. It was with Splunk. He went through some of their free training, and it was free. He became one of the best store engineers I've met in my life because of his attention to detail. Being able to write store playbooks and automate that system just by being able to understand just how he tore apart an engine, he was able to tear apart logs and build good detections for our store. So I think certified bodies are great until they're not. And when I say until they're not, to your point, they are a mill. There are some people who just want that annual CPEs and credits where you send them $100 a year and they send it to 1 million people. Nothing against ISC2. I love their CC effort, but they wanted to certify 1 million people. That's not to get 1 million people into cyber. They wanted 1 million people to pay their $50 annual renewal.
Yeah, that's you hate to see that because on one hand, you're right. They've been around for a while. They've got some really good stuff, but it's when you start tacking on that kind of thing that turns people off and makes them think you're just out to get their money. And in this day and age, when we've seen that to be true, I've started to see quite a bit of I don't know, a cooling effect that's happening around cybersecurity. And I think that's because people are burned out. They're sick of like going after all these new certs and spending all this money going to boot camps. Like you said, boot camps definitely have their place. You said a good boot camp. I've done it. I've set great boot camps. I learned a bunch of stuff and it cost me a little bit of money, but it was worth it. And so if you're strategic, but with everybody coming out and promising them the moon and everything else, I can see how people are like, what's over here in, HVAC or what's over here. And that's cool. There's all great jobs, but I've definitely started seeing a cooling trend with the excitement around cybersecurity. Have you seen that as well?
The other problem is and I throw some stats out, is we still have about 4.7 million people globally in cyber. We can't accept every single person who gets a Sec Plus. We can't. Or who goes to a boot camp and signs and gets a certificate and says, now I'm ready for my 80 to 100K a job. We're not that big yet. 4.7 million globally is still very tiny when you think about the billions of people we have in the world. It's a very tiny percentage.
Yeah. And of course, because of those boot camps, because of those certification bodies that are, or not even them, even the people that are just selling training or whatever, trying to get them dollars out of you, promising you everything. We now have a massive entry level force that honestly, I think that if we could get around some of the shenanigans that are happening with jobs, I've talked about this on my IRL show about ghost jobs, and I'm glad to see that legislation is being proposed about making that illegal because it does seem very much like a type of fraud, in my opinion. So I'd love to see something happen with that. But I think that if we've got so many people, they're all vying for the same jobs out there. They're all trying to get into those same positions. And that's where I think some people are starting to get frustrated because those entry-level jobs are so coveted. I wish we could come up with some new way because there's so many talented people out there. There's so many ways in which we could utilize those skills. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we hear it all the time about how much cyber talent we need. They're just not tapping. You got to give some people a chance. And at this point, it's better than not filling the position because they're not 3 to 5 years or 5 to 7 years tenured. Get them in there with somebody. I've always been a huge fan. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this. Been a huge fan of the idea of almost like electricians or plumbers, that cyber would kind of have something similar to that, where you work under a journeyman, someone who's been around the block. They're a master ASC mechanic, that kind of thing. And then you come in, we just bring in people that have got the creds and talent to start off. You work under that person, they mentor you, they teach you that job. Let's be honest. Have you ever been at a job where it took you more than maybe a month or two to get up to speed on everything they need you to do?
It really depends on the complexity of the environment. But I will share something, and I loved what you said there. I worked with an HR department similar to what you're talking about. I was looking to grab high school and associate level talent and bring them in as an apprentice. We bring them in at, this is going to sound bad, $20 an hour or so for the first year. You're not going
Right.
to make a lot, but you're going to get the experience. And we tell you it's a 2-year program. If in 2 years you can come up to speed, you meet the need, we will find you a place or try to find you a place. The problem we ran into is some of the organizations didn't create the jobs after 2 years. So they had them in for 2 years and then we had to cut them loose. I served as a
Ah,
board member on that one. And it was tough because now you deflate the person. Like you gave them 2 years, you feel like they're growing, they've learned all this, but they have a high school diploma. We just talked about my degrees earlier. They have 2 years of experience, but now they're competing against that bachelor, that master's, even the PhD students who are going after entry levels. I hate to say that we have PhD doctorate levels who are joining in entry level roles right now because of their passion, their interest, or because they're coming in as a PhD in neuroscience to do the diversity side of it, to do the neurodiversity or the human centric or the behavioral analytics. They're entering the field. Again, I alluded at the beginning of this. I'm out of work. I'm competing against you too. And I've been in the field. So who are they going to hire? The person who has 6 months of experience or the person who has 20 years of experience? Knowing that I may cost them a little more, but I might get desperate. May not maybe me, but I might get desperate and say, just give me 100K. I'll come in at 100K. I just undercut the entry level jobs.
yeah, big time. And the bang for their buck that they're getting for that 100K is a huge ROI for them. So I totally get that. I mean, I understand that as far as the business goes, it makes total sense. I think that they are just really and not everybody, obviously, we're speaking in generalities here for the most part, is that they miss out on some real opportunity to have someone that could be extremely useful for their organization down the road. They're not thinking big picture and they're not thinking long term. And unfortunately, good, bad, or indifferent, that's how I remember when I got into IT in general in the early 2000s. And then I went to a job. I worked for a large insurance company as a system. Oh, first I started off on their help desk. I worked at help desk for a year, and then from there, an opening came up with their infrastructure crew. So I jumped over on that, got on there, and I did that job for 8 years. And it was like, man, I knew I could do this job. And if they would have just kind of skipped over me and not taken a chance, they would have missed out because I gave them great work. We were a fun team. We were fast. We were loose. We hit the ground running. We would try anything, and we were a bunch of smart people that just wanted to make it and have some fun and do IT. And I got that place had a pension. People
Hmm.
retired from there. I mean, those
Hmm.
that was, and I remember going, "That's crazy. We have a pension here." They're like, "Oh yeah." After my 5 years there, they were giving me a plaque and a cool, like, I think I got a lovely walnut wall clock. It was beautiful. I had a little thing that sat on my desk, said 5-year employee, but those days are gone for the most part,
Yeah.
right? If you need more money, you gotta jump. If you want better opportunity, you gotta jump. If you wanna do a different type of job role, you gotta jump. There's no,
Yep.
like, internal momentum anymore. They just see it as this silo. Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's a bad thing? Should we look back at the old way of doing things and go, maybe we should revisit this, or is this just the way it's going to be, or this is a good thing?
So again, our favorite answer, it really depends. There are some sectors that works. to do 30 years with them. There are some sectors it makes sense because they can keep upskilling you. For example, I worked at a regulated utility. They would hire the control room folks. Think about it this way with me. Right out of high school, work them through that journeyman program and get them all the way up to the control room where they're watching the grid. Well, by the time they got to that room, they have the level of a PhD program. Some of them never went to a university, but they have the education and can speak the same as a doctorate level because of the education they received. That made sense. Other industries, some of the tech, just to be frank, not to pick on us, 3 years, 5 years, you need to move on. Like the world is set up right now, especially if you're looking for a new challenge, you're going to get in a rut. We don't evolve our tech quick enough. So if you work for a software development company, they're not going to roll out brand new software where you're learning bleeding edge unless there are some niches. There's the Netflix, the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsoft. But other tech firms, they got a bread and butter, they get a cash cow, and they just keep enhancements. You got to move. That's why people, when they sell tech, make it 2 to 3 years and then they go sell tech somewhere else because they've learned everything about it. From a security point of view, yes, I worked for 6 years in tech at that regulated utility. I knew the cobwebs. I knew the systems. I could name the systems. I could look just at the naming convention because I'd been there long enough to understand this is the data center it's in. This is the application it supports. This is a prod server. This is an HA because of the naming convention. It tells me that there's a pair. And I could get that just by reading it. That's intellectual knowledge. That's institutional knowledge. I had people on my team like, how do you know this? I'm like, because I've seen it for 3,000 days.
Yeah, I've been around the block once or twice. That's why I know this.
And jokingly aside, I tapped one once. I was like, you need to go reboot that tomorrow. And they're like, why? I'm like, just go reboot it tomorrow.
Trust
and they're
me.
like, why? I'm like, because it's going to fall flat on its face if you don't reboot it tomorrow. I've seen it do it. For whatever reason, this time, after it's up that long, it needs to be rebooted. Go reboot it. Okay.
Oh
put a
man,
change ticket in.
I had that server, brother. I was responsible for this this system that was for doing forecast models because I work for an insurance company, right? So it did all the weather forecasting models, and it was this asymmetric multi processor kind of supercomputer thing that they had going on.
Yep.
And every couple of months I'd have to update the thing, and it was a nightmare. And when I left that, I had to create some extremely detailed documentation for them to say, listen, if you breathe on this thing wrong, it goes crazy. So here's what you got to do, step by step, make this happen. Otherwise, it will ruin your life. So I totally understand.
We've all been there. We've all loved it. And then that's the thing too. And you didn't ask, but I'm going to share it. That's the difference between pet and cattle. We're used to on-prem servers that we named, we loved, we caressed them, we sung them songs before we went on leave because they knew that they were going to write lyrics of "I'm all by myself" to the syslog all weekend because there's no longer someone to touch.
How do I keep getting these alerts?
And it's just writing "I'm all by myself" to syslog every hour because no, I'm just joking. But we don't have pets anymore. We have cattle. We spin them up via a Lambda job, a Docker, a container, a Kubernetes to do a job, and then it dies. And we don't care about it. Where the sysadmins of the old, they love that server. They love that LPAR. They love that AIX machine. It was their bread and butter. They would take it home at night if you let them.
Oh man, yeah. I love this whole portion of the conversation was worth having you on, good sir, because I love that analogy of pets versus cattle. I never even thought about that, honestly. I've never heard that terminology. But you're absolutely right, because guys like us that have been around for just a little bit, anybody that's coming in new, they don't know that life. They don't know those on-prems that you babied and you added drives to, and when drives die, you took them out and you had a little funeral for them, and you put them in the crushing thing and made sure the discs were destroyed by Iron Mountain or
days
whoever.
Were fun. We're all going to the degouser. Let's go.
That's right. That's right. It was a lot of fun. It was an interesting time to be in technology back then. But you're right. Nowadays, we just spin something up to live for a moment in time, do the thing I needed to do, and then it can go. And then I'm going to reallocate those sources and do something else. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Now, we'll get off this, but I want to share one more story, and I should share it now because it's been long enough. We had a DR event. I literally unplugged a 2RU proxy, put it in the back of my car, and drove it to another data center and re-racked it. You can't do that anymore. You cannot
No,
unplug
that is
an
awesome.
appliance. And then I'm like, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to do this. I don't have insurance on this appliance that I'm now driving across town to re-rack in a different data center. And by the time I got there, we were able to restore the other environment, so we had to bring it back.
Dude,
We ended
I
up
love
leaving it
that
there.
story.
We left it for a while, but eventually we unplugged it and then re-racked it. But
Oh man,
yeah,
we
like
could probably tell these war stories all day. We had a mobile command center because we insured
yes,
homes, auto, the whole 9 yards. So when
correct.
disasters hit, and hello, welcome to Florida, they happen, right? I remember seeing a boat in a pine tree. I'm like, how did that get up there? And that's because the storm surge said, here it goes. But yeah, and we would bring all this stuff. We have all this DR equipment, and it was in these trailers. And when the hurricanes hit, the semi showed up, and those things went on to the four winds. And we could set up command centers, get people getting their quotes, getting their
Yep.
making their claims, getting that all processed quick, fast, in a hurry. And we had all these drives, all these servers that went along with this giant stinking generators to make that stuff happen. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun to
Yep.
work that job. I kind of miss that kind of stuff a little bit, but very, very fun. And nowadays it's just not that way. I let Amazon handle all that for me. That's their baby now.
Yes.
All right, we are at the halfway point. I did see a great question from a friend of the show, Alicia Parkinson. She jumps in with, what is a piece of advice that helped or continues to help you on your journey? Anything that really inspired or just changed your perspective? I like this question a lot.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with this one because I saw it. I've been thinking about it, and it's probably gonna surprise, but not surprise all of you. It's understanding the lexicon we use today and understanding what it's like to be a novice again. We have a curse of
Mm,
knowledge issue. And when I say we have a curse of knowledge issue, we don't know what it's like to turn on the laptop for the first time, to log into our email, or even better, to submit a report for the first time. We've done it if we've been in the industry long enough that we forget that our employees, new hires, college grads, have never used enterprise systems and they don't properly know how to use them correctly and securely. So we have to have a proper lexicon where I can define a term and we standardize the term. So when I say this, I mean this. When you say that, I say this. Because, for example, you're talking with a CFO and you start using AAR, it may mean something different than what it means to me because
mm,
they do their own vernacular, their own lexicon. So getting to a common knowledge and then remember the curse of knowledge, what it's like to be a novice again. So I have to remind myself this is common knowledge to me. And it's only common to me because I've done it for X years, X days. It's brand new to you. Just like if I walked in and you asked me to file an 8K report, I wouldn't know what you're asking me to do. I know it's a tax document. I understand debits and credit. I have a business degree. I understand basic accounting and ecom. Basic. So
yeah, basic. And my advice to this would be, you can do it. Like I get a lot of because we talk about, and you do as well, right? We get on like Gerry's show, Simply Cyber. We go do jaw jacking or whatever, and we get a lot of people come into those types of like AMAs and stuff like this, and they ask about imposter syndrome. They ask about, should I really call myself a hacker? Should I really call myself a pro? I've never done X, Y, Z. Listen, if this is your passion and you're doing things and they're working, what does that tell you? That tells you that you have a human brain that works and you can get in there and you can figure these things out.
yeah.
I feel like a lot of this boils down to the people that don't make it in this industry are the ones that don't have the tenacity to just keep grinding, just keep going. The ones that, and I get it, it can sometimes be that very much thing, a grind, like, oh, I just gotta
Yeah.
it's like it's never gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You just have to be the last one standing going, I never gave up. I've found that the people that said, I can do it, I'm just not gonna give up. It's just harder than I expected it to be,
Yes.
that they're gonna be the ones still standing there when everybody else faded away in the distance, and then all of a sudden a job is available.
Yeah.
And
Another
you're the
thing
one
there
standing there.
that you just said that struck this, and again, you've heard me say this, I'm going to say it again. Have a network, have a mentor, have a mentee, because at some point you're going to have a question. You're going to have multiple questions. And that's when you go, hey, Daniel, I think you've dealt with this before. Hey, Daniel, what is your thoughts on this? Because
Right.
at some point in time, Daniel is going to have a life experience or tech experience different than mine. But on the flip side, he's going to ask me the same question. So I always joke about reverse mentorship. Um, I like to mentor people that are above me, beside me, and below me. So the importance of someone in front of me, they've already done the time. They likely, sometimes I even do it outside of tech. I ask for an accountant or I ask for a lawyer to mentor me just so they can give me different expectations. The peer is going to challenge me. They're going to keep me sharp. What they're learning, I need to learn. The one below me is that passing of the torch. I want to pass the torch as I opened up. I want to get you out of the ditch. I don't mind you going in, but I don't want you to have to drive a mile to get out of it when you can get out at a quarter mile. Like sometimes you have to stay in the ditch. Like that's just how life works in our field. Sometimes you can't get back on the road. But I want to show you how to get back on the road when you're ready and you can. So to your point, the tenacity is important, but it's also good to say, I'm just going to call my friend Daniel. I know he had this problem. Him and I just
Yes.
talked about this. And even if you have an NDA, it's when you do it at a bar, at the restaurant, where it's not in writing and you have the conversation. All my future employers, previous employers never had these conversations. Again, this is all
Yeah.
hypothetical. But at the end of the day, we're we are professionals for a reason and we all see the
Yes.
same problem. So at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. We're protecting the US or the country we live in. And then we drive it down that we're protecting the org that we deal with. And you drive it in front, you're protecting yourself and your family.
Yeah. I'll have to steal this from Jerry because it's just too good. He's always like, so friend DA, right? This conversation never happened. I'll deny everything. You're an absolute liar if you say otherwise. Yeah, that kind of stuff. But yes, absolutely. We build these friendships, and that's why it's important to go to things like cons, right? So that you can not only network and learn what's going on, sit great talks, but build a network of people that you kind of connect with. I can't
Yep.
tell you how many cool people I've met at a con and was like, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's stay connected. Let's hang out. Let's do something. Anytime you got something, let me get you my number and just text me. CJ is yeah, there he is. I'm looking at him I met him at B-Sides Tampa. Didn't know him from Adam's House Cat, but he recognized me, right? And he was like, "Hey, aren't you?" Blah, blah. Yeah, and we just started talking. We got lunch. We just hung out, talked about family, talked about whatever. Everybody's just people. But when I see him at conventions now, I'm like, "Hey, what's up, CJ?" When he shows up here, we can have talk. He needs to reach out to me. He's got that line of communication. If I need to reach out to him, I got that line of communication. The shared
Yeah.
knowledge, kind of going back to what you were talking about. Like, I've been around the horn a few times. If you need my help, just ask me. If I
Yeah. And
can, I'll help you. I get that all the time. If I ask you a question, will you answer it? Listen, you probably get this as well. Yes, my time is small on when and where I can help, but if and when I can, I absolutely will because
yeah.
I want to.
And
I want to help people.
that's what I was about to say. And I know it may not be this audience. Daniel and I are people. If you see us, just come up and say hello. We're not above you. We want to answer your questions. Yes, to Daniel's point, I may not see it immediately. I may not be able to individually tell you, but I can share the comment on this media. I can share the comment on my channel. I can share the comment on LinkedIn. That's why I always ask people, not for self gratification, subscribe to my LinkedIn, subscribe to my YouTube, because I'm putting out questions that I'm getting over and over and over again. So I'm just going to write an article about it. I'm going to do a video post on it. I'm going to demo it for you, and then I'm going to record it and share it. Because at the end of the day, I want to give knowledge quickly and as cheaply as possible.
Yes, yes, and we are in a very unique position than most people, right? We have a platform and a voice to be able to speak, and people look to us in certain ways for certain things, and we do get to kind of see this aggregate of, I always say I've got my finger on the pulse because people are letting me know what's going on, what they're interested in, and when I see the same question over and over and over again, that makes me go, obviously there's a gap somewhere and it needs to be addressed. And like yourself, we get out there, we get on our YouTube thing, we come into AMAs, we do that kind of stuff and go, hey, I've been hearing this. What's y'all's thoughts on that? Are you also feeling that way? And we can address that. We can start looking into why is that? That's kind of the whole ghost job thing. That's where I got down that rabbit hole because I was like, what's going on here with these jobs?
Mhm.
Why is nobody getting, what is going on with work? So I started investigating, and we get super hyper focused on something. You're like, it's 6 hours. How did that happen? And you go, wow, man, I've learned a bunch today and nothing that's good. So now that we know what the problem is, let's start working on washing it off.
Yep.
And
Agree.
so, yeah, that's what we get to do. And that's a honor. I feel honored to be in that space, to be able to be one of those people that can help kind of point people in the right direction and go, oh, I know what you're talking about. That's over there. Go look at this, go look at that, read about that, learn this thing. And that's going to help you get beyond this little hurdle that we're seeing out there right now. So
It's
love that.
important to know where to go. So like we've talked about numerous people on this call. We know Gerry puts out certain content. We're going to share Gerry's content. I'm going to share
Team
Daniel's
SC.
content. I'm going to share people's content when I trust you and I know you. I'm not just going to go plug an influencer. And at the end of the day, we're not trying to be influencers. There are some influencers out there who are great at what they do, and they're very technical savvy, and they're very personable, and they're very approachable. There are others who, going back to earlier, are just doing clickbait. They want you to subscribe or get their cert, do their training for their own edification, not for yours. So when in doubt, reach out to someone and ask, is this person got any validity? Watch more than one video and see, do they have two faces? Do they have the same behavior when they're doing their channel as when they're on the stage or in an AMA, or do they have a persona that's fake? And I hate to say that out loud, but I wanted it on this forum since that's where we went, and I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, listen, people, there are grifters out there, and they will try to take advantage of you. So Fletus is saying it loud enough for the people in the back to hear. Do your due diligence. If you're seeing something that looks great, ask some people, do some research. Don't just get excited about something and throw your money on the barrel. Now, listen, it very well may be awesome stuff, but we'd hate to see any single dollar, any single cent of yours go to the wrong individual and you not get your money's worth. So hopefully we can I know Fletus is going to do it. I know Gerry's going to do it. I know I'm going to do it. Tyler Ramsby's going to do it. InfoSec Pat, a lot of people that we know, that you see us all hanging out with each other. We are going to deliver you the honest to God truth about whatever we know about that stuff. And if we've heard bad, I'll tell you, no, I've heard bad things. If I've heard good things, I'll go, no, it's pretty cool. You'll be all right. Fleet is going to do the same thing. So use this community to make sure that when you do put some money on the barrelhead, because it very well may be in short supply for some of you out there. Yeah, I've talked with many, many people. There's like, man, I can't afford X. I can't afford Y. Listen, I have grown up dirt poor. I have literally went to a gas station and stopped and asked people, can I wash your windows with the window washer for like 50 cents so I can get some gas money? And sat there for an hour and did that until I had enough money.
So Daniel, you just dated yourself when you could buy gas for 50 cents.
Well, I was trying to aggregate enough money, but I didn't want to do too much where they would say no.
But I'm just, hey, all transparency, gas was 98 cents when I started driving.
Right.
Like I could go to the store for $5.
Me too.
Fill up my tank of gas for the most part.
Dude, you remember asking your friends for gas money and they're like, I've got like $1, I've got 75 cents.
Yeah,
you're like, cool, give it here.
Yeah,
and everybody, you took that $5.
$10 get you a fill of the car and a Snickers or a soda.
Oh man, good times.
You ain't going anywhere with $10 anymore. You're barely getting it off of
Taco Bell, right? So the local gas station where I grew up had a Taco Bell inside of it, like a pop-up Taco Bell kind of thing, right? And if you recall, they had commercials on TV that were like 39, 59, 79, or it was 59, 79, 99 cents. So a regular taco, 59 cents. Taco Supreme was 79 cents. And then you had like a big dog burrito or something that was 99. We would go in there and buy like 5 tacos and a big gulp for 99 cents. And you filled your gut with bad food, but it was, we loved it. It was middle of the night, having fun.
Not picking on too much, but there was Taco Bell at one point. It was like 10 tacos for $1. They were running 10 cents a taco at one point.
Dude, that is crazy.
You come in with $1 and you walk out with 10 tacos. I was like, no, that's not good. That's not healthy.
You're not doing that now. Taco Bell, like last time I went to Taco Bell, I was like, I'm good. You know what? I'm gonna live Moss.
Yes.
I'm gonna live Moss. I'm gonna pull into this drive-through. I got like 2 cheesy gordita crunches and a drink, and I'm like, how is this $12?
Yeah. So
What is
my
this?
oldest intern, who's 10, loves Taco Bell, and I'm like, I can take you to an actual Mexican restaurant cheaper than I can go through Taco Bell.
It's crazy. It's
Yes.
crazy. All right,
But
let's
we're on a
see here.
tangent.
Let's
We're on
look.
a tangent now. We're on a
We
tangent.
are. We're sidetracking. We're sidetracking. Let's get into the chat here. Let's see this question right here from Taekwon Gong. Hey, how could we better get either of you at a local meetup in Sec KC? That obviously would take some planning, I would think.
Yes.
But it is a really good idea to like find some meetups. If there's not one there, create one. What's your experience with local cons? What do you like, Fletus? What do you think would
Yeah.
be worth your time and effort to, if you got a con to go to that's local, what should you be looking forward in that?
So I'm very active. So for those who don't know, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte has a big financial presence as well as some others. So there's a lot of meetups that happens here. I participate in the local ISSA chapter. I serve as one of the directors on their board. We have IT and security professional chapters in some of the regional metro areas that I sit on. We do security breakfast. They're fun. I get to meet up with senior leaders. I go to them because, kind of similar to Daniel, for the longest time in my career, I went out. I went national. I did a lot of national based stuff. And then eventually I was like, I need to be present in my community. So I get involved with the head of IT, the CISOs, the directors, the ICs, the individual contributors, and just said, where are you at? What are you doing? So I got on, we have a local CISO, we call him our local cruise director. He sends out a weekly email of every dinner, every meetup, every event that's going on. And he says what he's going to. And he gives a blurb about why he's recommending it. So he's a trusted friend and value in the CISO community who gives us pretty much an agenda. There's something always going on in Charlotte. I could go out to eat pretty much every night of the week on a vendor's dime if I chose to. But at the same time, I go to those, to Daniel's point, because I want to go meet Daniel. I know Daniel's going to be there tonight. I just want to break bread with Daniel. I just want to break bread. If the vendor shares something that's earth shattering, great. I'm going to meet up with someone I haven't seen, and I just want to break bread. Like when Daniel and I finally met each other in person at Mile High, it was nice. We got to banter. We talked before. We just got to crack a joke in person versus doing it over a camera. So I like meetups that I can know someone and then add value to it, either by me taking the knowledge back to my employer, taking the knowledge back to this community, or just I want to come here and make fun of you for a moment and let's just have some humor in person. Because I got to crack a joke. We got to have some humility in this field. We got to have humor every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about this a lot here, and on both CyberCast, After Dark, and IRL. And I've been talking about it on. I'll be doing jaw jacking tomorrow for Gerry, I think, and we got to have fun in this, man. Like we sit here and tell our war stories from back in the day. We had fun, like even IT, right? That's why a lot of us got into IT in the late 90s, early 2000s, because it seems like a really fun job. You were messing with this really cool tech. You got to see how all this stuff worked. It was almost like this, wizard's secret knowledge
Yep.
that you could kind of get into. And you get in there, all your friends are just into video games and watching fun, pop culture. That's why I love like talking about the Matrix or talking about, sneakers or hackers or war games and all the fun things that we all kind of shared as an experience. So it was just this fun atmosphere. And I just, for the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, I've just been feeling like the fun is kind of sucked out of cyber and IT. And I'm like, let's bring that back. Let's have some flipping fun. Let's tell some jokes. Let's get the camaraderie going back up so we can, so I don't mind taking shows like this and going down the leg, talking about Taco Bell and, paying $6 to fill up your tank of gas. That's fun stuff. That's super fun. I can't wait to get people excited to start doing that again, because that's part of the experience in my estimation. And if you ain't got that, it's just another job. And
Correct.
That's not what I want it to be. I know that's not what you want it to be. I don't think the people in the chat room today or anybody that's watching this afterwards is going to want that. We got to bring it back, man.
Yeah, just a shameless plug. I giving a talk for the anti-siphon blue team, and I talk about this during that presentation. The title of it is From IT to Blue Team, Your Time is Now. And I talk about midway through the importance of soft skills. Some of those soft skills is critical thinking, humility, and humor. All three of those are important. We have to be critical thinkers. We have to have humility to say, hey, Daniel, I messed up today. And by the way, I messed up hard. Do you want to help me? Because if not, I'm going to be here all night. And the second one, I need to walk into an incident response, a war room for those who have been in person, and just joke. Where I served breakfast, and now I say, hey guys, got a question for you. What are we going to do with the leftover bacon? We all know there's never any leftover bacon in a room. But what I just did is I broke their concentration, got them out of the weeds for a second, made them smile, made them laugh. Now they can hop back into the incident response team, knowing that the bacon's gone. But at the end of the day, it was just a joke to get them to say, take a deep breath, think about bacon. Now you're hungry and you want some bacon. But at the same time, it allowed them to break the monotony of our very high stress job at times.
Yeah. Yeah. It can, because sometimes been there, done that, got the t-shirt as well, where things have gone wrong and you are not really leaving work for a while because that's just not an option. So, but you know what's funny about those kind of scenarios? Like when you're in it and you're just like freaking out and you're like, how are we ever going to fix this? This is going to be crazy. This is going to take us forever. After it's over and it's all said and done, and you're on the other side of it, you look back at that situation, that thing, and you go, yeah, that kind of sucked, but it also kind of didn't suck. It was kind of fun because you get punchy, you're cracking jokes, you're trying to keep everybody on their toes because sleep has been whatever, and and you kind of look back fondly on that stuff. It's weird, and I don't want to get on this too much because I know we don't have a ton of time left, but remote work kind of steals that from us.
It does. It does.
And that's pros and cons to everything, right? There's plenty of great pros about having remote work, not having to move somewhere, not having to, go in and commute or do that kind of stuff. But everything has its charms. And there are some things like that I kind of miss about working as a team together.
Yeah, you were joking earlier about like the hurricanes and insurance. Well, I worked for a regular utility. We all were brought into the office when a hurricane was coming in. The utility I worked for had most of the East Coast. So from Florida all the way up to the Carolinas and then some out into Ohio. So anytime a hurricane was anywhere near the Atlantic, we were getting a war room. In that war room, we were fed well, but we also got to banter, and we also generally had a place to stay. They would get a local hotel to put us in because we're working shifts and you need a place to sleep. And we would send people away. And to the note I want to tell people, walk away when your boss tells you, go lay down. You can't go 36 hours. You can't go that long. You can barely go 24 and still be operational. And I've worked 24-hour shifts in my career, to Daniel's point. You do it on adrenaline. But when they tell you it's 12 hours and we want you to leave for 6, you go lay down for 6 hours and then come back. Because we're going to do a 6-hour shift change for a moment, or 8-hour shift change.
It's funny, that job, they made sure that every one of us, so we had an office, all of us had an office, we had our own office, and every one of us had our own couch. And it wasn't for guests. No, it was for us when things went wrong or we had to do, a hurricane hit or whatever. I had a place to lay down, shut my door, turn the lights off, and grab some Z's because I wasn't leaving. Right. So, unfortunately, that didn't happen very often. And so that was great. But when it did, it was super nice to have that kind of thing. And really cool to sit back, like you said, and we can look back in the mirror and go, man, that was fun. Can't believe I'm saying this, but man, that was fun. It was a crazy experience. And, like I said, that's just one of the cons of now being fully remote about everything is you don't get to do that much anymore.
Your go bag is not as important as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Punisher 11G, who's in the Discord. I see people talking about, have you seen the graphic in Discord? I've got to share my screen so that we can see this lovely, lovely thing. Where is this? This is on screen 1. Yes. This is just so funny. I love this work.
After dark.
After dark. There we are, preaching the good news of IT and cyber.
Is this Haircut Fish is doing, or who did this?
No, I think this is this Tech Grunt? Tech Grunt, did you make this? I think that's where this comes from.
That's good though.
Punisher 11G in the Discord. That's who it is.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
I don't know how We've got so many people, and what's funny is I have a couple
It's
people with
amazing.
tech and things like that in their name. So very, very funny. I love
That's
this.
amazing. That's
Very funny.
amazing.
Great stuff. Gotta love some of the awesome work that everyone does out there. So let's see here. We've got 5 minutes left before we call it. I got one question that I'm going to pull at the very last before we go, but I did want to bring up something that you were talking about before we got started when we were just kind of hanging out and bantering. You're talking about war games, and I
Yes.
don't mean the 84 movie with Matthew Broderick that we all know and love, but actually performing war games, doing war games. Tell us a little bit about this. This is very interesting.
Yeah. So in my journey, I came across an employer who was trying to build out a war games team. So what they're trying to do with their war games is to take your traditional tabletops and your pen test and kind of merge them together. So running adversary simulations, rapid fire drills, starting first internally, working with small teams, and then their ultimate goal was to offer that same service to some of their clients who didn't have large security teams. So what I mean by a war game is you take an ATP and an advanced persistent threat, and you decide, okay, this is the one that we are most worried about. Now let's run the tabletop that they're attacking us, and let's run it from every level, from the IT team, run it from the SOC, the IR, legal, and you get the full gamut of taking an incident response and turn it into incident management. After you do all that, you update your IRP, your incident response plans, your SOPs, your playbooks, etc. And then you wash, rinse, and repeat, and you grow that out to at some point where it's a muscle memory. So very similar to running uh, a pen test and then corrective actions, or running an adversary simulation for companies who have someone on their team drop something on the network and see how their SOC responds. You're doing this more as a game, like it's a war. You're not going to win every battle. Your ultimate goal is to win the war. And what they were trying to do, and I love the role, didn't end up getting it, is that they wanted to eventually offer those services to people who can be like, we don't know how our MSP would handle this. We don't know if our MSSP can handle this. Do we have a retainer in place for a supply chain attack, for a ransomware attack, for a third party compromise? Do we know what to do if a third party is compromised? Because some of these companies don't think about their B2B, their business to business, or even a B2C connection. Some companies, yes, still connect into customers' networks in 2025. So that means a lateral movement from a customer to the business is a risk. And that's where GRC comes back into play. That's where your IT team should have segmentation, should have boundaries, and you should be testing those boundaries. And that's what a war game allows you to test. Because we all know in war, we're going to do guerrilla warfare. I'm not coming head in. I'm going to find a door, a crack, a sill and tile. I'm going to come in from the weakest link. And that's not your user. Don't call your user the weakest link. It's the HVAC team who has an IoT into a major retail. No one knows this retailer, but just a heads up.
Yeah. These things happen, by the way. And guess what? They don't get like you said, those HVAC systems that are cooked into your actual IT systems, so that you can sit in the comfort of your own little cubicle and manage that stuff. Actually, probably has some sort of connection to the internet and is going to be vulnerable at some point in time. You're not testing with that kind of stuff in mind. So I love this idea of kind of taking that tabletop to the next level. Like, let's not just model this. Let's kind of let's run it down the road and see where the wheels fall off of this thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's the kind of stuff that gets us excited again about cyber. Going, we're you going to let me do this? You're going to let me cook on this thing? Heck yeah. Let's get it. Let's have some fun. And with that said, I got one last question for us. And it's just kind of an interesting and fun question. We can kind of make it as broader as scoped as we like. Another one from Taekwon Gong is, if you had to choose one good book for hacking or cybersecurity, I think would be a good one to go as well. What would you recommend? What's one of your favorite books out there, Fletus, that you were like, it's cyber related, and it really was like, yeah, this is good information that doesn't really get, at least not maybe in this way or whatever. Give me one of your best book recommendations.
Yeah, and I wish I could draw it right now. It's Philip Wiley's and Kim's pen testing book that they put out, I guess 4 years ago now. I'm trying to remember when.
Is that the pen testing blueprint?
Yes, it digested.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pen tester's blueprint that Philip Wiley and Kim put out. allowed me as a blue team member to sit down and actually understand the mindset. Like people who know me, I know offensive security. It's just not my bread and butter. I can
Sure.
think like one, but you don't want me running your pen test. You just don't. But when I was reading through it, and then another one that's pretty good is by um, Ted Metropolis. He put out a consultant's guide, like thinking about cyber consulting, because all of us have done some kind of consulting, and you will do more consulting as a cyber IT professional. You always get asked, "Hey, can you do this?" And yes, here's my LLC. Let's put a statement of work together and let's do it. So he had a good consulting book, and I've done his consulting con a couple years ago. It was nice to help with and learn. So those two books helped me, like the pen testing blueprint, and then understanding how to do consulting, where it's fun because when you run your own business, there's the business aspect of running your own business. That's
Yeah.
not always
That
fun.
That's a great resource right there. And with a lot of opportunity as a single person entrepreneur to get out there and run your own business and make some side money or make it your main hustle, either way, you need some of that information. As I am now stepping out as my own sole proprietor, I'm realizing like, okay, there's a lot to working this stuff. Obviously, it's figurable, so I'm gonna have to check that book out. My recommendation, if you're looking specifically for hacking stuff, it's a little bit older. I don't know if it's been updated in a while, but I still think it's really relevant. And I love the way it was written. Is the Hack Like a series from SparkFlow. He did a phenomenal job at giving you not just technical information, but the context around that technical information. To me, that is where we miss the boat a lot. It's really easy for me to go, here's how to use Aircrack NG. Here's how to use Metasploit. Here's how to use Nmap. But to tell you to, and because this is how I teach, this is how I think, just giving you that brute fact doesn't help you as much as me going, here's how to use that in a real way. Here's why you would do that. Here's how that connects. Here's how that connects you to the next step you're going to take and in a real way. So those books from SparkFlow, and I think he's with No Starch Press now. I think he was self-published for a while, but I think he's now under No Starch. Definitely check that out. Oh yeah, Fletus is popping it in the private chat. They're like, let me grab that. Let's see here. Oh, that's the book, Getting Consulting Beginners. Yeah, let me grab that link. Copy link. Throw that down in the chat. Pastola. Get that in there for us all. Thank you so much for that, Fletus. But yeah, some SparkFlow books are really, really good. Great series. You're going to love them. Fletus, my man, thank you so, so much. I can't hide Taekwondo. Where'd that go? Usually it tells me I can hide things, but what are you going to do? Thank you much for joining us today. I appreciate your time. This was a great conversation, and we'll have to do this again because, man, we didn't even come close to exhausting the myriad of topics we could have got at. I think that our audience really enjoyed it as well. And yeah, man, I'm going to let you go. Tell the people where they can follow you, how they can get a hold of you, what you're doing. Floor is yours, good sir.
So real quick, I know we're at time. I'm on my YouTube channel, so it's just Fletus Poston. You're easy to find me. LinkedIn as well. I try to keep some X/Blue Sky presence, but it's not as much. And then, as I mentioned, I will continue to do talks. My next scheduled talk is with the Anti-Siphon Blue Team Summit later this month. I think it's middle of next week, and it's on pretty much some of what we talked about today, from IT to Blue Team. Those who are trying to transition from the IT to Blue Team, where I walk through my journey and all the skills I learned from every IT role and how it made me a better cyber practitioner and cyber leader. Also, I tend to join Gerry's Jawjacking. I won't be there this Friday. I have a conflict, but you can find me on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. with Daniel and others on Gerry Auger's Simply Cyber Jawjacking.
Yeah, shout out to Gerry Auger, Team SC. Great stuff. Love everything that they're doing. So if you're new here and you've never heard of Simply Cyber, you got to check that out. A lot of people here, our communities are very, very similar with the people that come hang out with us, and a bunch of great people there. They're gonna love having you. So if you are new, awesome. Come and hang out with us over at Simply Cyber as well.
Forgot the other one too. I will be on one of Gerry's podcasts next Friday. I'm trying to remember which one it's on. It's being released, so it'll be. I recorded it a while back. I apologize. I don't even know. Gerry has so many media groups. I don't know which
He
one it's
does.
under. To be honest, I
does.
don't remember which one it's under. So
he's the James Brown of IT and cyber, right?
Yes.
He is the hardest working man in the biz.
It's James McQuiggan's, whatever his new series is. I'll be on his.
Yeah.
Not this Friday, but next Friday.
Yeah.
Simply Secure.
Simply Secure. Yep. Simply Secure. Nailed it.
Had to think. FedEx is on this Friday. He's in the chat.
Very cool. Yeah. I'll look forward to seeing that. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Fletus, yet again for joining us as well. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully on CyberCast IRL. Come check that out. That will be Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you want to have some more fun, watch me talk about whatever, pour a big fat monster in a camo cup, then it'll be have good times had by all. I hope to see you there. And then until then, everybody, have a great day and keep hacking.